How's it going, guys? And today we are looking at one of the most competitive, one of the best premium tanks that I think Wargaming have released in a long time, and it definitely suits the playstyle of someone that's, you know, able to kind of understand the mechanics, both spotting, both mobility, positioning, etc. This tank has a huge skill cap, and I think it is a very good one for people to learn how to play World of Tanks, which is something that can't be said for a lot of the vehicles, because this one does take a little bit of thought process as opposed to some of the more overpowered premiums that we've seen come out of World of Tanks consoles development headquarters. So what we have here is, of course, the AAT-60, which is the kind of tier 9 American tank destroyer, very much like the Concept 1B. For those of you that don't already know, that is the tier 9 American heavy tank that we've had for a long time. And essentially, this one is, in my opinion, the better of the two. And although this is in name only really a tank destroyer, it plays much more like a medium tank, and a fast medium tank at that. And that is because this thing is capable of doing over 65 kilometers an hour when you're using this thing, and it allows you to do things like this, where you've kind of been in a bit of a brain whir. You've literally been doing something absolutely kind of bot-like by just trying to defend an entire flank on your own, or at least with just one other player. So using the mobility, we can escape, which is good, and it can't be said for a lot of tanks in this game. So it's nice to have that mobility, and it is super fast. Like, genuinely feels so good in game to have that speed, which is why I think this tank works so well within the game. And of course, because of the fact that there are a couple of other reasons that we have, and that is because the accuracy of this tank is pretty good when you got it fully upgraded. You have, or at least I've got it set up with rapid loading, which is of course the crew skill, and we've also got advanced loader on this tank. It's a single shot, so unfortunately for those of you auto-loading lovers, this one isn't one. So I mean, it's nice to actually have a single shot for once. But essentially, this tank has 3,900 damage per minute when it's set up entirely with the basically going for the damage, and you can get that even up to 4,000 if you're using ventilation on this vehicle. So yeah, it is unbelievably good at dealing damage, and it reloads in 6.5 seconds. You have 420 damage per shell, so you've got the extra 20 damage over a lot of those medium tanks you'll be facing. You do have a little bit of a lackluster amount of hit points, but you do get a ton of armor for this tank destroyer slash medium tank role, which allows it to play like you're seeing here. And that's because the turret armor of this thing, much like the Concept 1B, is very good. And that allows you to essentially get into positions like you're seeing here, where we're only exposing our tank from the turret, and they're going to have to hit the cupolas. They're going to have super high penetration to pen the actual turret front, and that allows us just to basically deal with this flank. And there's only two of us really defending this flank here, the VZ and me, John Rambo as well in the VZ. So essentially what we're doing here is just holding the opponent's back. We've got a Maus, we have a T-58 Heavy, we've got a Machine, and we've got all sorts on this flank. We're going to have to try and hold them back, and that is exactly what we do in this game. Now, luckily for us, there are a few somewhat competent players who have decided, oh look, the enemy team are trying to get our base. Maybe we should probably actually go and try and help defend it, which is nice to see, and it allows us to just basically deal with this flank a little bit more. Now, we do get pen there. Looks like it was the T-58 Heavy potentially, or maybe even the Maus that hit us there, somewhat in the cupola, maybe on the very top of the tank. I did have a quick look to try and find out where it was, couldn't quite see it in the time that we had in game. But having done 3,700 damage, I'm pretty happy with how this game has gone so far, and we have a decent amount of hit points, just under half of our hit points to still use within this game. We've got to be a little bit more passive in this game at this point, because, you know, when you're on low hit points, don't go charging in thinking that you've got full. And you can see here we're just basically using that armor, using the quick peek that we can do with the good accuracy and aim time. Aim time is 1.7 seconds, I believe, on this tank, or 2.1 seconds or something of that region. I'm inclined to think is 1.7. it was the accuracy of 0.39 base, or that kind of made this tank a little bit annoying, but because of the accuracy bonuses that we have on console, it makes it a lot easier to play. But you see in here, we're just taking very opportunistic shots, and I'm also trying to press the advantage of being able to go hold down against the Maus. Now the T58 Heavy, it's lovely to get rid of him because he could have potentially one-shot us there, which is something that we don't want to happen. We're going for the Maus' turret cheeks, which is fun. He then moves and hits our cupola, so yeah, I was a little bit annoyed that he managed to hit that shot, but at the end of the day, I feel bad for the Maus anyway, so maybe it's nice to give him a little bit of damage for once. But I'm kind of in two minds. Do I go to the left and try and help out with there, or do I try and finish this Maus off? And in fact, I decide it's time to get rid of the Maus, because, you know, you don't want one flank being coming around and then the other flank coming and sausage sandwiching you. So if we can get rid of him, that's ideal. Going for the lower plate, 50 TP goes in front of the shell. I mean, I could have probably predicted that. It was not 50 TP's fault, but it means that the Maus survives one shell more than he probably should have, and hopefully he doesn't finish off our 50 TP because of it. But instead, we're now just plowing around into the side of him, trying to find that turret. We try and find the lower plate. Unfortunately, we try and go for the turret that goes into the mantlet, and yeah, not ideal. But hopefully we can finish him off with this last one. And oh, I'm having an absolute nightmare, but I decide, no, we really do have to get this Maus now. And shut him down through the lower plate there. So picking up 5,750 damage done, but the game is far from over. It's still very neck and neck at this point in terms of how many tanks are left, but the enemy team have, from my experience and from seeing what the enemy team have, they appear to have a lot more hit points than we do, since they have a load of people sat in the base still who didn't really seem to get spotted until the very end. And we've also got this Centauro who's on a decent amount of hit points. And I make a misplay here in a second, and that is essentially this machine has YOLO'd towards the opponents. Now I didn't realise, but on PC you can actually get shots from here. Unfortunately on console you can't, and I've been playing way too much PC recently, so yeah, I guess that's my fault. But yeah, we could have got a shot on him if I'd pulled up to this location earlier, and then we would have been able to finish him off. Since he would have been on low hit points, we may be able to have tracked him, and then he wouldn't have finished off our teammates. But, you know, big misplays coming in from a fairly big game so far, but still a bit of things that we can do. But at this point, I'm deciding it's probably time to go and help out the team. Now, there's a Progetto 66. We managed to get him on the move, which is just ridiculous in itself, but we get out of render range now to avoid being hit by him. And I use this position here, which is basically your last position that you can really go into in this game, because at the end of the day this is kind of where you go to lose, because although you can get a few more shots off, you typically can't carry too much from this because you have the whole thing of the enemy teams just basically pushing you. Now there is an AAT60 who actually had a fantastic game on the enemy team, but you can see here we're just trying to get as much damage as possible, farm up the opponents as much as possible, and maybe we can get away with winning the game. Only joking. I don't think we're going to win this 1 versus 7 here, but maybe we can get one more shot to pick us over 7k damage. The machine, obviously, the key weak point is the side, because we can overmatch it essentially, or at least go straight through the side of the tank. But we get finished off by the enemy AAT60 and end up with a defeat. And he picked up 6,191 damage, so well done to you, Rare Flying Monkey, with 5 kills as well. But we picked up 7,400 damage. He probably thought he definitely had the top spot, but he picked up 2,100 base XP with 2,254 spotting as well. So a fantastic game by him. But yeah, we didn't manage to carry hard enough in that game. And yeah, unfortunately we go away with a loss, but a fantastic one to showcase this tank. And I guess we'll jump into the next one. And the next one comes in the form of Nebelberg, and this map is a very, very interesting one. It's the brand new map that we've got recently because of the Road to Nebelberg community operation that we've got. And I guess we can talk about this map as we're talking about the tank as well. And essentially this map seems like it is a complete kind of win the hill, win the game sort of situation, whereby, you know, you win next to this castle area here and then you try and win the game. because you have the superiority of essentially having the ability to find everyone on the map from this spot because it's so high, and everywhere else is kind of low down except from the campers who are going to be in the base. But if you have a competent light tank, you're going to be able to deal with them. But what we'll see in this game, because last game was we saw the kind of hold down capability. You saw us bounce a little bit of damage, you saw us deal a lot of damage from the hill location and in a base defense. This one is a bit more aggressive, and I'm going to spoil it for you right now. We do end up coming away with a win, so at least, you know, there's a bonus to that. But I see that my tank has pushed up over here, so why not go and help him? We put one into the lower plate of the TNH 105 there. Nice little 377. The M103 on the enemy team, I'm just trying to poke him. We only track him, which is kind of disappointing. We must have hit just right at the top of his tracks and only hit the tracks. We go for another one, trying to hit in that track drive wheel, frontal drive wheel. And unfortunately we don't manage to do it, but we can just get this TNH by just peeking him, finding that lower plate, and because we're at such a steep angle with the front of our tank, it makes it difficult for the opponent's tanks to actually pen us, which is always nice. But you see here, we're just going for it, we're going through the drive wheel there to pen the TNH, and there you go, a nice little 1,000 damage straight away, and that's how powerful this can be. We track the M103 since we can't do a whole lot against him. And at that point, I should have probably been loading the heat rounds because they have ridiculous penetration, I believe. 330 pen with the heat rounds, which is fantastic. You're definitely able to deal with basically everything in the game with that sort of pen. We put one into the Tiger. Two there, nice little bit of damage as well. We go for another one. I don't want to keep it too long since he could be able to find our weak points or the lower plate or something. So I'm just going here and just trying to make opportunistic shots, which is what you can do with this. It has a fantastic reload so that if you miss a shell, it's not the end of the world. You can see here the M103 on the enemy team for some reason now deciding to go from his hold down spot and just push. Maybe it was a good play, I don't know, I couldn't quite work out from where he was, whether or not it was a good play. We should have probably saved that shell and just gone around a little bit more, but we missed out on that damage. But don't worry, because we can push towards him now. And that is essentially, with the fact that there is a Vipera, I'm going to try and remove the M103 first, because we don't want two guns shooting at us in the same time. And the Vipera has terrible, I mean terrible, traverse speed. We go for the tracking shot on the Vipera, that locks him down and makes the turret traverse and hull traverse even worse on those horrible Italian tank destroyers, which recently came into the game. Obviously, if you're watching this in the future, you probably already know about them for a long time. But yeah, what we have now is the Carnarvon Action X. There are a few tanks over here. There's an artillery behind us. That will come into effect in a second. And there's also this UDES, so hopefully we can deal damage to him. I'm going for the UDES since that probably has more pen and is a bit more of a threat if he goes undetected. And he could potentially get in the cap or something stupid like that. We do have that artillery piece who's about to show up and give us a nice little 400 roll there. Not what I want to be seeing. A little bit triggered, but you know, at this point we need to do something. There are quite a few tanks left on the enemy team, so there's definitely room for more damage in this game, so we don't really have to worry about that. It's more about just how can we win this game and make it as easy as possible. I'm now going towards the enemy artillery piece because we want to get the RNG out of the game, but I realise that the enemy team will end up getting in the cap circle in a second, and that's probably because I made the misplay of going through the cap circle. Maybe they think that I am going to try and cap, and so they decide to jump in our cap circle in a second, so spoiler warning there. But we pick up 3,700 damage so far with 1,600 assistance as well. Our friendly team are nowhere near the cap circle, and that is because this map is pretty big. It is quite large. It has the problem of being in that sort of region where if you leave too far of a gap between you and your base, you're going to get capped out pretty easily. I loaded the HE to finish off this Tiger because I thought he might have a little bit more hit points. He doesn't, only has a tiny amount, must have been because our friendly arty got him. But at this point, a YOLO off the cliff, you definitely don't do that if you're actually playing in the game and not wanting to you know, get back to the cap circle as quickly as possible, because I'm hoping that someone on our team is going to be able to push quick enough to reset the cap at least once, and then we're going to be able to be close enough to get that damage. Now, I see that there's an M48A2 pattern who's dealing with our tank destroyer here, which is the Sturm Tiger. Not particularly the nicest match for the Sturm Tiger. And oh my god, our friendly T28 shuts down the enemy tank there. No, the 112 shuts down the UDES in the cap circle to manage to win or recap or decap the base. Oh god, I get it right at some point. But I was amazed when he managed to finish him off there. Lovely to see. We do take a shot there, but I'm not worried because I want to make sure that I'm close enough to reset the cap if we need to. I go for the shot with the M48. He actually hits us and ammo-racks us because yay. Now we're ammo-racked for the rest of the game, or at least for the 45 seconds it takes for our repair kit to replenish. But I go over here, maybe we can get a shot on the light tank. He gets shut down subsequently, and it's time to go help the Sturm Tiger P with the M40 pattern. Now we go for that shot, we see he's about to turn back, and we only manage to track him, but it's time to just go. The Sturm Tiger P has gone right past him, must have missed his shell, and we want to make sure that Sturm Tiger doesn't get taken out by the M48A2 pattern. I don't know if I'm going to get there quick enough to help him out, but he does end up missing that shot on the side of the Sturm Tiger, which is of course a big no-no for the M48. And he misses another one. Sturm Tiger survives. We come in, try and swoop in, get that damage. He is actually looking our way. I'm not worried about it because we'd have to royally screw this one up if we did actually miss. But there we go, we shut him down. A nice little 4,500 damage with 1,600 assistance and 5 enemies taken out in that game. Victory, of course, and on a new map. So yeah, really nice one to showcase to you guys. 1,887 XP within this matchup. And yeah, not a bad one at all. And certainly a good one to showcase what this tank can do. This tank does not get a premium bonus, so it kind of sucks. But overall opinion on this vehicle, it is a very, very fun one. It is super, super good for all of the players that are more experienced. I think this is going to be a really, really good solid vehicle that you can use in the game, and for newer players this will be a great learning experience to learn all aspects of World of Tanks, and for once I think it might actually be worth getting, and you don't usually hear that here on this channel. But there you go, hopefully you did enjoy it, and I hope you join me in the next video. Stay tuned and I'll see you there. Goodbye.